Can's-Gated Posture Training. This is going to be a series of videos entitled Exercise Alternatives. So these are going to be alternative exercises that are much better for your posture and your gait and your general efficiency of movement than your typical gym exercises you get, which do have some little issues. So in this first one I'm going to start with the sit-up. First, a little background. So people suffer from a range of postural problems, but one of the more typical ones, and something that I see probably in 95% of the people that I train, are rounded shoulders. So they get something called an anterior tilt or a shift here, and then they tend to round shoulders to compensate. They work at their desk and they use their smartphones, things like this, so they get this rounded shoulder problem. Now, also one of the most popular exercises in the gym is the sit-up. So if you think we're in this position, we're crunching, obviously we're encouraging this rounded shoulder position, but it goes a little bit more deeply than that. If you're working your abs generally here and shortening your abs, continuously shortening your abs, you might be able to see here on the diagram, your abs don't just work in isolation, they're actually connected to other muscles by fascial connections and chains of muscles as well. And one of these main chains is on the front line of your body, so your abs or your rectus abdominis actually cause trunk flexion like this. Now, optimally, to move optimally, you need to lengthen muscle and fascial tissue so that it can then contract off that, and then you actually utilize some elastic potential energy. If you look at, for example, grab one of these things here. So your muscles and fascia are not this elastic, but they like to lengthen, and then they've got some elastic potential energy, and then they contract off of that. And it just helps you create more force, and it's also much more efficient. It's a much more efficient way of doing things. Now, obviously, if you're in the sit-up position here, even if you're doing it with your chest up, the length of your rectus abdominis is not actually very much lengthened to begin with. So you start from kind of a neutral or maybe even slightly shortened position already, and you just go shorter and shorter and shorter. So it goes tight, tight, tight. You tend to go tight, tight, tight here, and also tight at the hip flexors, tight at the chest as well, because all of this is linked. And then that tightness of the chest here will pull on the front of your shoulders and pull you into an even more rounded position. So personally, I don't think the sit-up is a particularly great exercise for many people, but it's really a stalwart of everyone's exercise routine. So I'm just going to tell you about a few alternatives that you could probably put into your routine instead of a sit-up, and to show you why they're a better exercise. So what I'm going to take you through here is a medicine ball slam. Now, before we actually get to the slam itself, it's really important to think about posture when you're doing this. So that's why it is Can's-Gated posture training, because posture really is the key to being able to lengthen the muscle tissue properly. If you've got bad posture and then you pick up a medicine ball above your head like this with bad posture, there's still no lengthening of that tissue where you want to lengthen it. And also, you're going to put, as you slam it down, you're going to use your arms to really slam the ball down. And if you do enough slams, throwing something down like this, remember, as you slam something down with your arms, you're going to have to put a fair amount of pressure actually into the ball like that, because you're not doing it like this. So we're going to get some problems at elbows and shoulders. So we don't want to slam the ball with our arms, we want to slam it with the torso. And so for that, to do that efficiently, we need to be able to lengthen this front line of muscle and fascia. So abs, chest, maybe even the neck and the arms, all the way through into the hip flexors and the inner thigh muscles, much like some of the diagrams that I'm going to pop up on the screen. Now, like I've said in other videos, it starts off with this base. So 3 cues: shoulders back, Big deep breath through the rib cage, and then you'll notice that we've got this anterior tilt in the lower back, and we get rid of that. And once you've got rid of that anterior tilt, and then you bring your arms above your head, particularly with a weight, such as the medicine ball here, and you take a big deep breath in, and you try and keep a neutral spine, all of a sudden, all this tissue is lengthened and primed to contract. So we've got length, contract, and then you'll slam the ball much more efficiently. So we're going to go up here, and so the slam comes down, and you're actually using your torso to slam the ball down, and then the arms are just there to guide it down. So you're not really using the muscle in your arms isolating anything. It's a fully integrated movement. So as you're coming up, we're lengthening all this tissue here, we're slamming down, we've lengthened here, now we're shorter here, and then we come up again, shortening on the back line, lengthening the front line, and then we're slamming down again. So it's lengthen, contract, and all of that takes pressure off the joints, places it on the muscles that it should be placed at, which is linked in chains all over the body. So front line, back line, spiral line, lateral lines. You can think more like that than individual muscle groups. It's not really helpful to think about individual muscle groups. We want fully integrated movement, lengthening and contracting.